Is that working? Are we working? Oh, Houston, do we have a problem? I think we are live, and I think it is 10 o'clock. Oh, the gardener's just coming in. Shut the window. We've been taking a mickey this morning. Right, welcome. We are 10 o'clock. Welcome to the second instalment of Hugs Canine Kitchen. Yep. So today, super autumnal Saturday morning. We went out with my little furry boys and we did some blackberry this morning. So we are ready for our Hedgerow Crumble. But first of all, we are going to cook pork meatballs. Yeah, and should we wait for a couple more people to join? I think just give them a chance. It's a Saturday morning. It is a Saturday morning. Yeah. So they might need to get out of bed first, grab a cup of coffee. The good thing is though that there is no escape. We are videoing this, so it will be on our YouTube channel. So you can watch it as many times as you want. Definitely. Okay. Let's wait a few more minutes. I think we are. What time is it now? It's about 2 minutes in, I think, isn't it? Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think you should make a start. Yeah, why not? People can catch up as we go. We're doing pork meatballs this morning. So we are using beautiful Hug pork, cookable. Okay, so we can cook it because it has no bone in it. Yeah, very important. We are not cooking raw food with bone in. Okay, so let's just whip that off. Lovely, lovely fresh pork. And of course the beauty of our pork, or any of our cookable range actually, is that we don't need to add any additional seasoning because we put fantastic organic herbs on the top. Yep. And if you've got a dog that doesn't like pork or can't tolerate pork, then you can use any other type of mince, change it up to what they might like, or what you have in the house. If you've got a puppy or a senior dog, then we do both. But any sort of mince that you might fancy, then still works the same. And of course, we have got a little bit of veg in our mince as well, so we're nice and healthy. And our herbs on the top are just a lovely mix of antioxidants. So we are going to add an egg to our mince. And that is just going to help it stick together while it's cooking. Because we want them to be meatball shaped, not a load of mince in a pan. She says, we're yet to put it in the saucepan, so it might end up a bolognese. Well, when we practiced it, then it has held its shape, luckily. I mean, luckily they don't need to be perfect balls unless your dog's really fussy and it goes not circle shape. Fletcher would insist, I think, on it being a lovely circle shape. So what we're also doing, just to help hold it all together and sort of stop the mixture being too moist, is a little bit of oat flour. And we're using oat flour because it's a little bit easier on the digestion than anything sort of wheat-based. Yeah. So I think we might just do a little bit more in there. You don't want the mixture too wet, really, to be honest. Now, do we think we should pop it straight onto the pan? Or, I think that might be quite good. Yeah, it seemed to work last time, so I'm going to turn the gas. Oh, I've just unplugged it now. What have I done to it? Hang on, let me turn it off. Oh yeah. There we go. And on. There we go. Okay, so our pan's nice. There we go. We still have our eyebrows, and we're still using a camping stove. Okay, so here we go. You can make meatballs obviously any size. I'm gonna go sort of fairly smallish, I think. Yeah, depending on your size of dog, then if you've got a big dog, then you might want to make them a bit bigger, or if you've got a dog that will tend to swallow things whole, then maybe make them a little bit smaller, so then they're not trying to swallow large chunks of meat all in one go, as some dogs do like to do. But just make them to whatever size that you fancy, really. And you can always cut it up at the end, so if you can't be bothered to make too many, then just cut it up after. But the bigger, it does take a bit longer, depending on how fully cooked through you want to do them. And of course, you don't have to fry them. we've actually got some that we prepared earlier, true Blue Peter style, and they are in the oven. So we will get those out as well.
Yeah.
And take a little look at those shortly. So I've got a few varying sizes here.
Yeah, and you don't need to add any oil or anything to the pan really, unless you've got sort of a pan that really is sticky.
Well, we'll see how non-stick this pan is.
Yeah, but the juices and everything from the meat and everything should, you can always add in a little bit of water to the bottom of the pan as well, just to make it a little less sticky, but that should be fine.
Were you using any oil in the pan?
I've just answered that. So yeah, you probably don't want to add in oils because again, there's the fats and everything in the meat, and you don't want to overdo it on oils with the dogs because otherwise you're going to just increase the fat content a lot, which they don't really need. They need good fats in their diet, but you don't need the sort of olive oils and things like that in with them. And so I'm just going to get on and start by grating the carrots ready for our spaghetti as well, and then we can spiralise those while those are cooking.
Yeah, these are cooking. So what we're going to do is spiralise the carrot and the courgette. So we're making a courgette. Again, we're not feeding the dogs any form of pasta or wheat-based product because they don't need it. So we're using a lovely veg. Now, the choice is you don't have to cook this either. You could serve it raw,
yeah.
Or sometimes we've done it before. We've literally just popped it into the pan. We've removed the meatballs and just popped it into the pan that we've used to cook the meatballs in, which is quite sweet.
Yeah.
Now we've got, I'm just going to show you this. We've got a little spiralizer, but I've also got a carrot sharpener. Now I can't remember where I bought it from, but what is so fun is we can do spaghetti courgette, and we could do tagliatelle carrots,
yeah,
with our pencil sharpener for carrots. So we're going to go with potentially a mix of sizes.
Or if you can't be bothered to do either, or if you don't have a spiralizer, just cut it into strips. Yeah, I'm sure your dog won't mind.
Batons.
Yeah,
I think they're called batons.
No. So whichever they would prefer really. And then it comes down to as well, if you cook it, if your dog prefers their veg cooked, that's sort of partially breaks it down for them. Or some dogs don't mind it raw if they're pretty good eaters. So again, you know, whichever their personal preference is, you can lightly steam it as well. You know.
Yeah, that's quite nice actually. Just steaming your veg is quite nice because that really helps them get the most out of the goodness of the veg without sort of overcooking it and sort of losing that sort of nutritional value, if you like. Now, I hope I'm not going to speak too soon, but these meatballs are looking pretty good. Now, with every good, now it's going to stick now I've turned them over, look. But with every good meatball and spaghetti dish, you've got to have a sauce.
Yeah.
So we've also created a sauce out of roasted carrots. So they have been roasting in the oven. I've just got them out now in the hope that they are going to be soft enough for us to sort of whiz up shortly. But that again is something that you can make your topping out of anything. But we just thought that a nice roasted carrot that's then blended down just creates sort of quite a fun sauce. And of course, when we made this the first time, we did try to set up the old Lady and the Tramp scene with our two dogs, who of course weren't having any of it.
Yeah, we put it down in front of them, thinking, really cute picture, Lady and the Tramp style, and then they both got up and walked away.
Well,
and then they realised it was food, and then proceeded to come back. But
took it off to a corner of the room, should we say, rather than sharing it.
It wasn't the cute sort of image that we had in mind. So, this is.
We even set up a table.
Oh, this is very good.
That's because you've not used the spiralling side.
There we go. You can tell I use this often.
We've got courgette.
There we go.
Tagliatelle, there we go, that's better.
Showing the different options.
Exactly.
So the reason why we use carrots as a sauce is tomatoes, they can be bad in sort of high amounts, especially if they're not ripe, they can be toxic. So it's just best to avoid, very small amounts. If your dog gets sort of the odd tomato, then it's probably going to be okay. But just best just to not really overdo it on the sort of tomato front. So that's why we decided to make sort of still a sort of tomatoey looking sauce and went with carrots. So then it was the sort of reddish colour, but that's why.
Tomatoes are actually members of is it the deadly nightshade family?
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And that's sort of why, you know, too much of sort of tomato probably isn't a good idea.
Right, so I'm going to attempt this. So I just...
So yeah, well, it's a bit like you sharpened the courgette, so this is like sharpening the carrot. So we've got a real mix of tagliatelle and spaghetti. But of course, oh look, this is so much prettier. So much prettier.
All fancy. Although, I'm going to get to the bottom.
I think you should do some spice. Yeah, you don't want to sharpen your fingers, that's the only thing. Or your fingernails.
Live on camera.
Now, I'm going to lift these meatballs out of the pan so we can put some of that in and then we can serve that up. So yeah, these I'm quite pleased. These have held their shape. Some are a bit pointy.
It just adds the effect of homemade,
Exactly.
which hopefully your dogs will appreciate.
And of course we want them to cool down whenever you're cooking for your dogs. Obviously, do not serve it too hot.
No. Do let it cool because they won't blow on it first. So.
Okay, I think I'm going to put a little bit of water in here. Squeeze the spit and the bit. And that'll just pick up some of the juices. And I think we can pop some of that in.
That was great.
And let's see how it goes. Ready?
Right, I think that.
Can you pop it all in?
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
Perfect.
I do quite like the vegetables softened because they will get a bit more of the sort of goodness out of it.
Yes. And it does start to digest it down because dogs can't break down cellulose, so sort of grating it in some form or partially cooking in some form, just breaking it down a little bit will make it readily digestible for them so then they can use all the fibre and get all the nutrients and stuff from it instead of just giving it whole. Which you can still give it whole, it's still a nice enrichment for them. They're just not going to be getting the true benefits if you were giving it as sort of part of a meal.
And if you've got a dog that doesn't like his veg very much, then the other option is if you've sort of just broken it down a little bit and potentially, you know, we've cooked it in the same pan as we were cooking our meatballs, so, you know, it's going to have a little bit of that meaty flavour on it as well.
So I'm going to get the sauce ready. So I'm going to go over and
that's
get
still warm, my darling. Take the
Yes.
oven gloves, sweetheart.
I've got
or the
tea towel. Don't want to
tea towel.
burn.
Right, and we are very nearly.
So all I'm doing, boy, you've got another question?
Four-legged social club. I said, can't wait for this at our festival.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So on the 19th of September in Fulham, if you go follow the Four-Legged Social Club from the Four-Legged Foodies, it's the first ever dog food festival in Fulham, and we're doing some cooking demonstrations. So we're doing all sorts. So we will be doing this live for dogs to come and taste, but it's going to be an amazing day. They've got some great vendors doing sort of human foods, but then serving something for your pup. So we're going to be there. So if you're in Fulham
really
or fancy a
excited.
day out in Fulham, then come over and say hello, and then you can try it as well for your dogs live, see what they think.
All the information will be on the Instagram site as well in terms of addresses, but we're actually going to be doing 4 recipes throughout the day on the 19th, which we're really, really looking forward to. And we're going to be using, so depending on which protein you like to work with, we're going to be using
each of our recipes.
Each of our recipes. So there's something for everybody. Right, okay. So I've just popped the spiralised and, you know, sharpened spaghetti, courgette, carrots into the bowl so they're nice and soft. Then I'm going to pop the meatballs on top.
Yeah. And then all I've done is just add a bit of water to the carrots, just to make it a little bit runnier. And hopefully this is a bit more successful than last time when we had the frozen berries. And I'm just going to whiz it up to make the sauce.
fab. So what we've also done is cooked some of our meatballs in the oven as well. So you can see they cook just as well in the oven. So we can just pop a couple of our oven cooked ones on, which is fabulous. And of course, as always, I'm going to have one of these for my brunch. I'm going to just move these out of the way.
Right, so I've just added a bit more water just to make it a little bit runnier. Okay.
All right, how are we looking? How are we looking?
Right, this is where I can't open it again.
You've got carroty fingers.
I do.
Oh my word.
I did do it quite tightly.
There we go.
Okay, so then just
four-legged social club voice said Archie and Nacho drooling.
Yes, you know what? We've got two boys down here as well.
We'll have to give it a go for Archie and Nacho. So just we could do it a bit runnier if you did want to, but
it's often easier to eat for the dogs, you know, if it's got some substance to it as well, which I think is really important. So fabulous.
That is. And then if you did fancy, just sprinkle off, you know, herbs or whatever on top, as long as it's suitable. But there we go. That is the spaghetti.
Now I'm waiting to get I'm going to get my fork out and just dig in and make sure and see if I can get a bit of everything. Let's see if I can get a bit of the sauce and a bit of the courgette. Well, hopefully I'm not going to burn my mouth. Let's just see.
Yeah.
This is, oh, it smells so good. This is where you wish that you could smell, actually, the through the screen. This is too big. Right, okay, here we go. Yes, I've got to have a bit of everything just to make sure I get all the flavours together. Get a little bit of the sauce. Oh, that is really good.
Yeah.
I'm going in for a second one.
Oh,
here we are.
And that's actually the first pot.
This is the first pot. You want a little bit?
You start waiting.
I think it's a little bit warm. It's a bit warm. It's a bit warm for you, Dine.
What? You have to wait.
We'll put it just there. We'll put it just there and it will cool down.
We've got some waggy tails.
We have got very waggy. Someone didn't eat his breakfast this morning. So
did you not cook?
I didn't cook
enough
it.
on the
I didn't cook it. I should have known, shouldn't I?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, now.
So whilst that's cooling for your dog, then we're on to dessert. So what we're going to do now is we thought as we're approaching autumn, because the sun has decided to go in the UK, we thought what's a more best autumnal recipe than a crumble. So we wanted to sort of make it a dessert that you can share, obviously with fruit and everything, being you just don't want to overdo it because otherwise you're going to end up with some runny tongues depending on the dog. So it is just a treat, so just a small amount that just gives sparingly. That's what we will say.
So we have been out foraging this morning and we have foraged some blackberries, of which Raggy did help. It was sort of one for the pot and one for Raggy. He discovered his love of blackberries. But again, as Vicky said, we're trying to just not overdo it because you will pay the other end. We've got some apples that have come off the tree. We're very lucky we've got a couple of apple trees in the garden. We've also got a beautiful plum tree in the garden. So we've taken some plums. And then you often find that pears are on offer in supermarkets. Now my boys love a fresh pear for pudding every evening, to the point now that they, as soon as they've eaten their dinner, they go to the fruit bowl and demand one.
They definitely do demand
one.
They do.
And they demand it of anybody that happens to be here. And the other interesting is we are going to add a little bit of cinnamon to this as well. Obviously that's going to enhance our enjoyment when we eat it as well. But what we've discovered with cinnamon is it's got some really, really interesting health qualities. So for example, it's fantastic for as an anti-inflammatory. So if you particularly, we've got, Rudy is nearly 13 years old. So what is really useful for him is to start to think about food that might support a senior dog's needs. So if you can add a little bit extra, like a little bit of cinnamon, and we're not talking mounds of the stuff, you wouldn't want to do any more than, half a teaspoon maybe a day or every other day. But we're going to pop some into our Hedgerow Crumble. But it's got anti-inflammatories, also supports sort of the brain function as well, which again, being 13 nearly, he is starting to sort of develop those aging sort of brain issues.
Yeah.
It's the sort of the standing in the corner of the room and staring at a wall, and also things like he's also getting a little bit anxious as well. So if he if he's sort of finds himself in the room on his own now, sometimes he'll bark for reassurance. So anything that we can do to support the older guys, I think is really, really useful. So cinnamon, I'd say, is a really interesting spice. Don't just go and liberally put in a load of mixed spice though, because not every spice is good for dogs. So we're talking cinnamon. Yeah. And you know, I sort of think of this as a little bit of a senior gold dust. You know, I think that's the way to think of cinnamon.
Well, a bit like, you know, turmeric and things like that.
Exactly. So if you've got arthritis, if you've got a dog that's going a little bit senile, a little bit of cinnamon is great. Do not get confused with nutmeg. No. Nutmeg actually contains a toxin for dogs. So do not go sort of to your mixed spice pot or what have you. It is just cinnamon that we're talking about. Yeah. Nutmeg, if you feed that, you're going to end up with all sorts of issues. It can lead to seizures, it can lead to high blood pressure issues, and also increased heart rate. So we are talking cinnamon, and I'm waving my cinnamon stick at the camera to make a point.
Yeah. And then what I will say is when it comes to fruits that you use a selection of dog-safe fruit. You want to make sure that you remove any pits or stones or seeds, so especially plums. We are using some today because they were readily available.
They're in the garden.
But the pits are toxic, and I know some parts of the plum tree are, but the flesh itself is fine. And the same with sort of any other types of pits and things like that. Just remove it, and then you're not going to have the issues. So just pick, you know, you can have a wide variety, whatever you've got in the garden, whatever you fancy picking on a dog walk, or if you don't have that option, go down to the supermarket. That's fine as well.
Well, and that's the beauty of things like the pears and things like that. Quite often supermarkets now have bagged offers of fruit once a week. So if you can go for, you know, the pears are on offer. I think my boys prefer pear because it is slightly sweeter, it is slightly softer to eat, and they actually leave the stalk and a bit of the core as well, so which is really interesting. Yeah. So
and I'm not going to do too many plums because again they're quite rich, so we don't want any hopefully upset tummies.
And do you know what? It's the general rule, isn't it? You have a decent dinner, but a small dessert. Yeah. You know, even though my dream is to have a 3-course dessert rather than a starter, a main and a dessert. It is about everything in moderation. So this is just a really lovely thing that of a weekend, if you're making a crumble, if you're making it dog friendly, pop those in there. We have started to sort of stew our fruit down. Of course, we've not added any sugar. Okay.
No, we don't not add sugar or sweeteners or anything, especially sweeteners because that contains xylitol.
Look at those gorgeous blackberries. We have left blackberries for the birds as well. There was lots there, so they're super, super sweet.
Yeah, you have to share.
And the dogs. I didn't get too many bramble scratches or stinging nettles while I was doing it, which is always a bonus.
So leave the fruit quite chunky because it's going to cook down, and then you don't want to be left with a massive mush at the bottom. So it's just to cook down until it's nice and soft. But
we've left the skin on as well because we all know skin's a bit of roughage. There we go, and pop that in there.
And I'll just do a pear.
Lovely. Let's have a little pear.
That's Rudy's favourite.
Yes, we can't miss out on the pears. Unfortunately, we have also got a little pear tree in the garden, but our pears weren't ready yet. So we've got Aldi's best in our crumble today. So I'm going to add some of that gold dust, as we talked about. So a little bit of cinnamon there going in.
Yeah, again, you don't need too much, just a little bit. It makes it a little bit sweeter for us, but if you don't fancy popping it in, or if you don't have it, then the fruit's going to be good enough as well.
Oh, just smell it. But again, with Rudy eating this, being elderly, it's just going to really support his system. Right, let's get that back on the top. Okay, now, rather than go with butter and sugar and flour for our crumble topping, because we're making this dog friendly and super healthy for us as well. You know, I like a healthy dessert. I'm going to put cream on mine though, probably. At the end, we are going to top our crumble with a mix of seeds. So we're going to toast those seeds as well. So Vicky, do you want to just bring those across and we can actually, I'm going to get the pan.
So what we have here are some oats, just rolled oats, organic, just so it's nice and clean for them. And then, or if you do have a dog that is sensitive to gluten, you can get gluten-free oats. Then we have a mix of seeds. So we've got sunflower seeds that are deshelled, and then we've got chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, and then some toasted coconut flakes because we had some and they're delicious. But that's just a great mix of omegas, high in potassium, iron, just all the good stuff that you're going to give. Again, seeds are high in fat, good fats, but again, don't overdo it. So just depending on your individual dog, just beware. A bit like people, you know, they are really, really good fats, but at the end of the day, it's
everything in moderation.
A fat. So
everything in moderation.
So just literally, we're just gonna bung it in and toast.
Do we want some coconut oil in with that?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
So, and then I'm gonna add in some oats, and then you just sort of want to toast until fairly golden. What I found when we were practicing this the other day, it started to smell of popcorn.
Oh,
and it
yes.
just made me crave popcorn.
The office absolutely smelled divine, didn't it?
Yes, yeah. So just be careful that nothing burns or sort of pops or anything, so just be aware of that. But, you know, just let it toast as much as you want. It just sort of really makes them nice and crispy. And then what we'll do once it's all toasted, just mix through a bit of melted coconut oil, a tablespoon or two. Just helps sort of bind it all together, a bit like you would with butter with your crumble. Just sort of bakes it all together, combines it, and then you've got your topping. And it's really delicious.
We touched on coconut oil in our last cook-along as well. It is, you know, it is. You can add it to all sorts of things, but it is a healthy alternative, you know, again, in moderation, but it is a lovely, healthy fat. I mean, and literally, you know, whether you're eating it, I sometimes clean Raggy's ears with it, you know, it makes him smell gorgeous as well, like he's been on holiday. But it is, you know, it's a very versatile product, you know,
and we just
so to have a jar in the freezer.
because you tend to just have it around because it's got so many benefits that then it's just so easy to use in lots of different recipes. It is, like you said, very, very versatile. So always have a pot of coconut oil in the cupboard.
Exactly. Right, so
while that's
are we comfortable with that?
It just needs a bit
keep a little bit of an eye on there. So I'm
Yeah.
going to take the fruit, give that a bit of a stir. Right, and we're going to serve this. We're going to put this into a big crumble bowl, but obviously, like we said, everything in moderation. And so we are going to just serve a small amount out for the dogs as well. Right, that's nearly done. How are you doing with your...
Good. I mean, you can toast for, you know, forever sometimes.
Mind you, what are we putting then on top of that? Which is, I think, you could say the icing on the cake, except it's the chocolate on the crumble.
Yes,
Isn't
so we thought, because why not, everybody likes chocolate, well, most people like chocolate.
I like chocolate.
Is to do a dog-friendly alternative, so using carob. And so we used this before in a previous recipe and it turned out amazing, so we thought let's add it in because why not? So just some carob powder, a bit of melted coconut oil, mix it all through to create a chocolatey sauce, drizzle it over, and it sort of goes a bit hard on the top. There's a nice chocolate drizzle, and it is delicious.
It really tastes. It really tastes.
The carob's quite bitter. I guess if you're used to sort of milk chocolates and things, it is quite bitter. So adding in the coconut oil just gives it that sweetness. And I'm not a big lover of dark chocolate, but this is delicious.
And obviously,
and
you know,
really, really
we're doing this because let's just give the warning again, do not give chocolate to your dogs, okay? And the higher the quality of chocolate, the more dangerous it is. So this really is, you know, if you want to go down that route, then this is the way to do it, with the carob powder, but do not give chocolate to your dogs otherwise, because again, it is toxic.
Yes, so you'll see in lots of, you know, dog-friendly chocolate and things, they use carob, that's what it is. So what I'm going to do is
put this here ready to make the chocolate.
Mix through a bit of coconut oil. I've just taken it off the heat as well. And then there's some coconut oil there. So then we'll just mix this through.
And that just helps it stick together a bit as well,
smells
doesn't
like
it?
popcorn now. It's delicious. I want popcorn.
So this is the carob powder, and you can just order that online or go to your local health food shop.
Yeah. So, don't get that confused with cacao.
No.
I will say, because again, that is toxic. So just mix that through, and then you've got your chocolate sauce. And it's a nice healthy alternative if you're trying to be healthy and want something chocolatey yourself in sort of smoothies and things like that, in your shakes, or over your cereal in the morning. It's a nice treat.
Oh, now look! I'm just going to show you this. Can you see?
Dark, rich colour.
Look at that. So that is beautiful.
Right.
Now,
So that is.
I'm just going to mix that in together. You know, and super. Oh, the smells. Honestly, that just smells so delicious.
We'll go grab our dish.
Now, also, if you like the idea of this sort of food as a treat, we also do just literally a seedy bounty bar as well.
Yes.
So if you don't want to go down the fruit route, if your dog doesn't tolerate fruit very well, if you don't like crumble, because let's face it, the whole point of doing this is so that we can share it with our dogs. But if it's not your favourite thing, we have made a lovely seedy bounty bar with a similar mix like this, where we've just crushed it. We've added a bit of water to it as well to make it more glutinous paste.
Yeah, so that is on our YouTube and our blog. So we do a ton of different recipes. So if you fancy whipping up lots of different feasts, then we've used our own minces and things to create recipes, whichever you fancy. And if you do have any other ideas for recipes that you think we could make, then let us know. We'd love to hear more.
Or your favourite food, and we can make it dog friendly so that you can share it with your dog.
We like a challenge, so
we love a challenge. And actually, going back to our date in Fulham on the 19th, the recipes that we'll be doing there. So the meatballs will be one of them. Then we're also going to do our burgers that we did last month. We are also introducing a beautiful chicken curry with cauliflower rice, which we're really looking forward to as well. And also a little shepherd's pie. So whether you're sort of a beefy, porky, lamby or chickeny, then we've got something for everybody. Now the gardener's peering in through the window. I don't know if anyone wants... My poor husband. He's outside. We've shut him outside cutting the grass.
So all I'm doing is just topping the fruit like you would with the crumble, with the mix, and just pile it all on. And we're not going to bake this again because that's why we cooked it all separately and everything. You know, you can do if you really want to. You don't need to.
If you prefer it cooked again, then because you're sharing, then absolutely pop it back in to finish toasting. Or if you rather than toast it, it's too much of a faff, and you want to cook it like a crumble, absolutely no worries there as well. But we thought as we're doing it live, we would do it on the pan and toast. And it does. Honestly, the smell is just incredible. So are we ready for...
Yes, just our drizzle.
The Carob Drizzle. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay.
And then be as liberal as you want, depending on how much chocolate you like.
So here we are. Let's just put this in. And I am quite a chocolate fan, I have to say. It just...
And then, needless to say, let it cool down before feeding to your dog, because again, they don't blow on their food, so you need to...
and obviously fruit, a little bit like when you're making jam.
Is that a question?
We've got a morning from Southwest Dog Skills.
Hello!
Good. So, are you going to have this for lunch? That's what I'm going to say to you, Southwest. Oh look, the dog is here again. Oh bless you, this is far too hot, my darling.
But that, again, the fussy one where he does, when the chocolate comes out, even though he can't have it, he is normally there when the chocolate biscuits are around.
Yeah, he's a biscuit fiend, actually. Speaking of which, we have got some new biscuits we're launching very soon as well, so do check the website out. We've got a lovely, lovely lady making those for us. So right, okay, so here we are. It's not hot yet. There we go. There is your Hedgerow Crumble. So that is a beautiful mix of foraged fruit with your mixed seeds and your chocolate, and of course has to follow your savoury. If you don't eat your dinner, you don't get your pudding. So I think that's us for this week. We'll be back again next month. Let's hope the sun is still shining. Maybe we're in for a nice Indian summer, hopefully, after a fairly dismal August. And any questions, we're always here, email or message in. And you can find all the meat products on our shop, on our website.
And all the recipes are online. But if you have a go at making it, then tag us, because we'd love to see your creations.
Absolutely.
And if you have any other ideas on recipes we could do, then let us know. Main courses, desserts, starters, snacks.
Perfect.
Anything, just let us know, because we want to see, you know, what people come up with.
And hopefully, oh, we got another question.
Luna asked what time should she come round.
Come on now, we've got plenty.
Luna, it'll be called by the time you get here, my darling. It's got to be able to save a meatball with your name on it.
And Marcus has said looks delicious.
Oh, Marcus, we'll save some for you too, my darling. Thank you very, very much, everybody. We look forward to seeing you. Well, I think we're going to try and do this the first Saturday of each month.
Yeah.
So hoping this will be again, it's the beginning of October, and someone's getting rather impatient. He's waiting for. He's pacing up and down now, so we better switch off and give him some food. Thank you very, very much for watching. Take care. See you soon. Bye.